Today we will be talking about memory and attention. We will be discussing what memory and attention are, why they are important for teacher and student learning, and how they are related to one another. First, we're going to talk about memory. What exactly is memory? Memory is the retention of information over time. Without memory, you would not be able to connect things that happened in your life in the past, such as yesterday, to things that are currently happening in your life today. There are three different types of memories: sensory memory, working or short-term memory, and long-term memory. Sensory memory is not necessarily memory, but a processor of senses. It's what's happening in the moment. An example of sensory memory would be when a person sees an object for a brief second. After that object disappears, they will remember the object for only a few seconds because it's retained in the memory for only a short period of time. Sensory memory includes things that you taste, touch, hear, smell, and see. Working or short-term memory is where the work is done. Here, you're sorting through input and deciding what to do with it. It's a temporary storage, more for thinking and working. Your working memory is a very limited resource. It can only hold up to 4 things for about 20 seconds. An example of this would be remembering the end of a phone number while you are typing the beginning of it. Long-term memory, on the other hand, holds a lot of information for a long time and is somewhat permanent. There are 3 different types of long-term memory: declarative, procedural, and episodic. An example would be remembering something from when you were younger because of the connections you have made, or being able to remember who your 4th grade teacher was. We remember things thanks to encoding. Encoding is getting information into the long-term memory. There are 3 factors that affect decoding: emotions, attention, and motivation. You can also encode things in 2 different ways. You can encode them shallowly or deeply. Shallow encoding is focusing on sensory or physical features of something, while deep encoding is focusing on the meaning and added connections. Shallow encoding makes storage and retrieval difficult because the memories aren't stuck to important things. Now we're going to move on to attention. What is attention? Attention affects how students process information. What you attend to or think about determines what and how deeply you learn. Attention is also a very limited resource. There are different types of attention: autonomy or automaticity, selective attention, divided attention, sustained attention, and executive attention. Sustained attention is the ability to hold attention for a long length of time. An example would be studying for multiple continuous hours before an exam. Selective attention is focusing on one thing while ignoring other things. An example of this would be focusing on just one conversation in a room full of multiple people where multiple conversations are happening. Autonomy or automaticity is focusing on nothing, doing things without occupying the mind. An example of this would be walking. You're not necessarily thinking about it, it's more out of force of habit. Executive attention is being able to control what you want to focus your attention on. For example, focusing on a soccer game instead of schoolwork because you'd rather think of soccer. Therefore, you're making the choice of what you want to focus your attention on. Divided attention is focusing on multiple things and alternating your attention. An example would be focusing on Netflix while you're also doing homework. This brings us to multitasking. Multitasking is when you focus on more than one thing at a time. This affects how you learn because you're not encoding and understanding both tasks. There are different effects of multitasking, such as both things can't stay in the working memory, and the long-term memory can't hold much more. An example would be texting, eating, and doing homework at the same time. Or if you're watching this video while doing another task, that is considered multitasking. So how exactly are memory and attention related? Well, in order to remember something, it must be deeply encoded. Therefore, it is important to pay attention or else encoding cannot occur. How much you learn depends on how much you encode. Nothing can be encoded if you aren't paying attention, and attention and working memory are very limited resources. So how are memory and attention important when it comes to learning? It is important for students to pay attention when it comes to learning because in order for the information to stick with them, it must be encoded. In order for the facts to be encoded, you must be paying attention to the lesson and only the lesson. For example, if you're paying attention to something else along with this video, you won't be able to encode both things. Therefore, if you really want to take in the information in this video, you must be paying attention to the video and only the video. If you want to learn more about memory and attention, feel free to check out the YouTube videos listed below. What is attention? 3 key points to remember, and how does your memory work? Thank you for watching, and thank you to the references that helped create this video.